Gilbert and Sullivan players will not be doing Gilbert and Sullivan. I think most of you already have said hello or know who I am. I'm Albert Marjorie, the artistic director and founder of New York Gilbert and Sullivan Players. And today we're presenting pieces that sort of form bookends on the Gilbert and Sullivan collaboration. Ages Ago was written before Gilbert and Sullivan got together. In fact, Sullivan met Gilbert at a production of Ages Ago. Ages Ago also represents sort of a foreshadowing of some of the themes that Gilbert was fond of, particularly the supernatural, which showed up in Sorcerer, Iolanthe, and in particular Ruddigore, where the theme of ancestral portraits coming to life is more fully established. This is the genesis of that idea. The piece also does not benefit from the fact that Gilbert and Sullivan popularized the central comic patter role. That doesn't exist in Ages Ago. But you'll see when we get back to the other piece, which I'll introduce later, that there is a bookend effect, one before, one after. Let's take ourselves to the castle of Glencockilly in Scotland and open Ages Ago.
Apparitions of this old castle. Aye, this body could tell ye stories. Besides, your uncle didn't want him here in the first place.
Well, I've got Sir Ebenezer's maiden and escorted the gentleman off the property.
Sigh and cry for aye, he's gone, he's running along in the rain. Goodbye, 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 he's gone, he's running along in the rain. He's off at last, he's off at last, he won't come back, the train is fast.
The night is black, the night is black, he'll catch the train, I know.
'Tis not so clear, dear Mrs. Mac, for listen here, the clock's put back, the clock's put back. It's half an hour too slow. It's half an hour too slow.
He's running along in the rain. No danger of missing his train. He's gone,
he's gone,
he's gone, he's gone.
We'll sigh and cry for aye. He's gone, he's running along in the rain. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. He's gone. Ah, he is gone. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. He's gone. Ah, he is gone. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. He's gone.
Now, Rosa, don't you go fretting about Mr. Hebblethwaite. You should be more concerned with them apparitions I was telling you about.
Mrs. McMotherly, I am a dreadful little goose, I know, but it has been a great many years since I believed a ghost story. Haunted. Why, if the place had the ghost of a ghost in it, Uncle Ter would have ferreted it out ages ago. He has been 3 weeks in uninterrupted possession, and I should like to see the ghost that could escape Uncle Ter's vigilance for that space of time.
Well, it may be so. I have no say in it, either the tay way or the t'other. But this I know well. A true Highland ghost is a perfect gentleman. Wouldn't dream of intruding himself upon ye until ye had settled down comfortably in your new habitation.
But why would these goblins choose our castle over all others?
Yours? Oh, it's no more yours than any other body's. This old castle's been uninhabited for the past 77 years, save by ghosts and such. Since the death of Dame Cherry Maybud, whose portrait hangs there.
I know, the last on the left.
Like all the other possessors of the castle. When she died, there was neither a will nor a title deed to be found. So the castle remained empty. And the ghost stepped in. Folk wouldn't have had anything to do with such an uncanny place. So it remained empty until your uncle, Sir Ebenezer Ter, of the firm of Ter and Tret, the alderman and the tallow chandler, took it into his head to try the old maxim that possession is 9 points of the law. Walked in one Bramon 3 weeks since, with nae a year leave nor a by-year leave, but no more right to the place than the Sultan of Morocco himself.
But nobody is likely to disturb him.
Well, I wouldn't be too sure about that. There's any truth in old legends of the wicked Sir Roger de Bohun, how he sold himself to an awful uncanny apparition. And for 100 years, witches and warlocks came out to play by moonlight, and still do. For we mortals sleep all unawares. Just imagine.
Well, I suppose. When nature sleeps and slumber creeps o'er mortal eyes, then witches play. When nature sleeps and slumber creeps o'er mortal eyes, then witches play. An elf in every shadow hides, on every cloud a warlock rides, to hold his tryst in mountain mist, to hold his tryst in mountain mist. An elf in every shadow hides, on every cloud a warlock rides. The moon is upon the light of day, to light the warlocks on their way. The moon is upon the light of day, to light the warlocks on their way. The moon is upon the light of day, the light of day. When nature sleeps and slumber creeps o'er mortal eyes, then witches play. When nature sleeps and slumber creeps o'er mortal eyes, o'er mortal eyes, then witches play. Then witches play. When nature sleeps, when nature sleeps, then witches play. Then witches play.
Now mark my words. The wicked Sir Roger de Bohun had no more than a life interest in this castle. Being sorely pressed for silver and wishing to mortgage the castle, he hit upon a compact with an evil fiend, that upon Sir Roger's death, no heir or title deed would be found to the old castle until a century had slipped by. So, when Sir Roger died on the 13th July, 1369, no heir or title deed was to be found until the 13th July, 1469, when his collateral descendant, the Lady Maud de Bohun, whose portrait hangs there, hit upon the deeds quite unexpectedly in the drawer of her work table. And so it continued for 100 years. Sir Cecil Blount, who hangs there, found the title deeds in an old portmanteau on the 13th July, 1569. Lord Conwy Poppytop, there he hangs, hit upon the deeds wrapped up in an old disused periwig on the 13th July, 1669. Dame Cherry Maybud found the title deeds in the stuffing of an old farthingale on the 13th July, 1769. Well, she died in 1792, and from that moment till 3 weeks since, this old castle's been inhabited by the devil and his evil hobgoblins. It's now the 12th July, 1869, so...
So the next century will expire tomorrow.
Yeah, if there's any truth in old legends, the ladle descendant of Dame Cherry Maybud will come tomorrow morning at cockcrow with the title deeds in his griff and turn ye all out, bag and baggage. I've a notion that there's an awful misfortune hanging over the house of Pear, and I've no manner of doubt it's associated with the dreadful legend of the wicked Sir Roger de Bohun.
I am only acquainted with one misfortune with which the house of Tear is threatened. The probable loss of its housekeeper, Mistress McMotherly, if she continues to fill my niece's ears with her abominable superstitions. It is a misfortune, ma'am, which the house of Tear will bear with Christian fortitude. Now go. I mean, get away, will ya?
Uncle Ebenezer, Mrs. McManley has indeed been filling my head with ghost stories, but I told her that if any of them were true, you would have gotten rid of the ghost long since, and maybe Mr. Hemmelthwaite would have helped you in that regard if you had allowed him to.
Mistress McMotherly, how many times have I berated you for all your nonsense?
Sir, you know I'm only telling her what ye know yourself to be true. Who was it prophesied he'd lose 2 ships to fire and tempest this year? By Mistress McMotherly. Who was it prophesied he'd come down with the measles last fall? Why, Mistress McMotherly. Who was it prophesied that a bonny young count would come a-courting Miss Rosa this week? Why, Mistress McMotherly. And mark my words, Sir Ebenezer, if I'm to be burnt alive as a witch, I'll say it. There's a bad misfortune hanging over ye, and it's not associated with the dismissal of your old housekeeper, Maggie McMotherly. Oh. I'm blind enough, I know, but I wasn't always so. Though you treat your poor old Maggie as a jesting, but it had an ugly throw many, many years ago. If she tottered through her duties with her eyelids shut, you may smirk and you may twirl, you're a very saucy girl, and you'll have to by experience with sighs and tears. But there's nae excuse for you, you're an ancient body too. You've been 43 for rather more than 15 years. Oh, there's nae excuse for you, you're an ancient body too. Oh, there's nae excuse for you, you're an ancient body too. You may smirk, you may twirl, you're a very saucy girl. You may smirk, you may twirl, you're a very saucy girl. She's a smirk, you may twirl, you're a very saucy girl. You may smirk, you may twirl, you're a very saucy girl. And there's nae excuse for you, and there is nae excuse for you.
My dear Rosa, if ever you go into housekeeping... When you go into housekeeping, take care to ascertain that none of your domestics are gifted with the curse of second sight. Now, that woman has been in my service for 30 years, and she has done nothing but prophesy misfortune from the day she entered it until now. And what is worse, all of her predictions come true. What was it she said about a bonny young gallant come a-courting Miss Rosa?
I can't imagine what she could have referred to.
No one has been here except Mr. Columbus Hebblethwaite. Eh, miss? Now, it is my belief that she referred to him.
Well, I'm sure I don't know why, Uncle. He is always very agreeable, but nothing more.
Now, Rosa, it's as well we should have a distinct understanding on this point. I've noticed that impoverished young man is unpleasantly marked in his attentions to you. And I've noticed those far from discouraging his penniless addresses. You have afforded him 50 means of persecuting him during his week's residence with us here in this castle. He quartered himself upon us without invitation. But Ah, thank goodness I've got rid of him at last.
Uncle, how can you be so unkind?
It is satisfaction enough to know, dear, that at this moment he's careering away at the rate of 60 miles an hour on his road to his native, London. Let's see, the express train started at 10:15. It is now 11:30. So he's exactly 75 miles away from his beloved Rosa. And by a remarkable coincidence, his beloved Rosa is precisely the same distance from him. What was that? Surprises I abhor. What was that racket? I can't laugh anymore.
I rather think, but mind, I can't be sure. I think it's someone knocking at the door. Columbus, did thy knock I hear with mingled hopes and fears? It's manna-lace with eddying waves, the portals of my ears.
You tremble so, I'm sure you know who's knocking at the gate. I'm sure you know, you tremble so, I'm sure you know who's knocking at the gate. Who dares to knock so late?
'Tis Mr. Hamilthwaite. 'Tis Mr. Hamilthwaite.
Permit me a short explanation. I left you to go to the station and thought not to see you again. To see you again. The time was so short that I hurried. The time was so short that I hurried. I really felt terribly flurried at the notion of missing my train.
Really felt terribly flurried
At the idea of missing his train.
terribly flurried at the notion of missing his train.
This modern edition of coaching I heard like a rocket approaching. I had not a moment to look so forward, in agony springing, I ran to the place where they book.
Forward in terrible agony springing, he ran, and forward in agony springing, he ran to the place where they book.
I eagerly ran to the small office door. I well knew the way, for I'd been there before. I knocked on the wicket. I asked for a ticket and laid down the price of the journey and more, and laid down the price of the journey and more. Come with me, clerk, if excuse you can trump any. Bother the station and bother the company. Come to my thatchery, semi-detachery. Roses and posies shall flower the way. Roses and posies shall flower the way. Come, come, clerk, oh come. The ticket I seized, I rushed to the station. The clerk had refused my polite invitation. Oh horror, oh horror! I fell to the earth. For I noticed the train, it was only too plain. It was fast moving off to the land of my birth, was moving off to the land of my birth.
For he fell to the earth, seeing the train only too plain. 'Twas moving off to the land of his birth. Yes, of his birth.
We'll do our best to make your rest as pleasant as can be, sir.
Your cheery face in such a place, we're very glad to see, sir.
But stop, I say, you went away, and spoke not of returning,
It's very clear, he's come back here for Mistress Rosa burning.
Your room is old and damp and cold, unworthy habitation. The spider crawls about the walls and fills you with vexation. Had I but known you would have flown, you'll judge by this narration. To make it good this morning would have been my occupation.
To spend the night till morning light in some unheard of station. It does perplex, annoy and vex,
It does perplex,
Annoy and vex.
It does,
It does.
It does perplex, annoy and vex. Forgive the observation. Just too late, in breathless state, you see with irritation. The starting train while you remain in dreadful perturbation. To spend the night till morning light at some unheard of station. It does perplex, annoy and vex. Forgive the observation. To spend the night till morning light at some unheard of station. Uncle, you must say something to him, poor fellow.
Say, why, what can I say?
A few words, of course, that you're glad to see him back again, and so on.
But I'm not.
Never mind. Pretend you are. Leave it to me. Mr. Hebblethwaite, Uncle tells me to say that he is delighted at the fortunate accident that has procured him the pleasure of seeing you again.
My dear sir,
That he hopes you will consider his house your home until tomorrow evening.
until tomorrow evening, until tomorrow week, if you like.
But I say,
And he
Rosa...
also wishes me to say that he would have told you this himself, but he thought it would come more prettily from my mouth.
It does. My dear Sir Ebenezer, the warmth of this welcome overpowers me.
But I say, sir, Rosa, go to bed.
But, Uncle...
Go to bed, miss. I'll talk to you about this tomorrow. Well, sir, as it seems my niece has given you to understand that I'm extremely glad to see you back again.
Thank you. I know you are.
I said nothing of the kind, sir. I said as my niece has expressed as much. I am put through the disagreeable necessity of echoing her opinion. So, sir, you will take your candlestick and, Mistress McMotherly! We'll show you to your room. It is in the roof, Mistress McMotherly, where the rats are. Good night, sir, and pleasant dreams to you.
achieve our mystic flight by nature's necromancy. Good night, good night, my gentle Luna's light, my gentle Luna's light, my gentle Luna's light. Good night, good night.
No passing breath of sorrow
shall cloud our visions bright. We meet again tomorrow. Good night, good night. No passing breath of sorrow shall dim our visions bright. We meet again tomorrow. Good night. We meet again tomorrow. Good night. We meet again tomorrow. We fly to fields of fancy, achieve our mystic flight by nature's necromancy. Good night, good night, good night, good night. We meet again tomorrow. Good night, good night.
pictures. I don't know them. They were not here when I died. Died. Then I am dead. I am quite certain I died, yet here I am walking about in my own picture gallery. Oh, then I suppose I am a ghost. My own ghost. I wonder if I ought to be frightened. But who has the castle now? By the terms of Sir Roger Bahoon's wicked compact, it was to remain unoccupied for at least 80 years after my death. But evidently, it is occupied. I wonder how my portrait has kept. It was painted many years before I died by Leonardo da Vinci, a rather clever young artist. He had it sent to the Royal Academy, but he didn't know anyone on the hanging committee, so he couldn't get it in. Let me see. Why, this is the very dress I was painted in. What an extraordinary coincidence. And this is the very rose Messer Leonardo made me carry, because he wanted a bit of colour down here. Well, I came from there just now. I remember distinctly coming from that frame. Then I am only a picture. Well, I'm glad I'm not a ghost. Oh, and here's another picture of me. And it moves. Oh, stop. I remember. It's a mirror. Oh, I saw one once when I was quite a little girl. It was sent over from Venice and it cost a mint of money. How exceedingly foolish to leave a valuable object like this lying about. Yes, I'm looking very well. I wonder whose portraits these are. Dame Cherry Maybard, Lord Poppytop. Oh, how perfectly charming. What a noble face. And then such dignity, such expression. I wonder who painted it. Michelangelo. Oh, well, I never heard of the gentleman, quite an unknown man. After all, on looking at it again, it is rather a fourth or fifth-rate production. Still, with all its faults, there really is a manly dignity about it. You, sir, are very handsome. Very, very handsome. I'm glad you are only a portrait. If you were a real living man, I should be obliged to be rather more particular. But, as it is, I may say what I like to you. So please you, sir, to hear my story while I tell. So please you, sir, to hear my story while I tell. The happiness awaiting you, a maiden loves you well. goodness me, he's talking.
The compliment upon my word was very neatly turned, very neatly turned.
My goodness me, he's walking.
As you can see, I'm walking.
To laugh it off, I can't contrive. With fright, I'm nearly fainting. I never thought you were alive. I thought you were a painting. I never thought you were alive. I thought you were a painting.
To laugh it off she can't contrive. With fear she's nearly fainting. I never thought I was alive. I never thought I was alive.
To laugh it off,
She can't contrive. With fright she's fainting. I never thought I was alive.
I never thought you were alive. I thought you were a painting.
A painting.
I never thought that you were alive. I thought you was a
painting.
I never thought you was alive. I never thought you was
I am indeed, and so are you.
How do you know that?
How do I know it? Why didn't you hang up there during the 10 years I occupied this castle?
Did you occupy this castle for 10 years?
I did indeed.
How do you know that I am not the original of whom that picture is a portrait?
Because there's a limit to the beauties of nature. There's no limit to the beauties of art. In other words, you are a great deal too good to be true. Angels are not half as bright as they are painted, and the famous Leonardo da Vinci was a terrible flatterer.
Famous? He was a mere nobody who painted me for a few guineas.
Ah, but after your melancholy decease, pardon my alluding to that distressing topic, he grew in fame and fortune, and before he died, Europe rang with his fame. Now I should say you were worth at least £2,000.
Is it possible? Oh, and you?
I am a Michelangelo, a very fine example, painted by him 5 years before I came quite unexpectedly into possession of this castle, and 6 years before his death. I'm worth at least as much as you. In fact, I'm a much finer picture.
Sir?
It's true. Look here. Here's drawing. You are the work of an artist. I am the work of an accomplished anatomist.
How can you say so? Look at that hand. Look at its odd color.
Yes, that's a rather sore point with me, but it's susceptible of explanation. You see, this hand of mine has been recently restored by a royal academician. In point of fact, I've only one hand. This.
Oh, Sir Cecil, forgive my thoughtless remark. Indeed, I had no intention of paining you. Believe me that I sympathize deeply with your terrible misfortune.
That sympathy more than reconciles me to it. Besides, although it's certainly deformed, after all I can use it freely enough. It was awkward at first, but I've become quite used to it.
So I have spent years in this castle with Sir Cecil Blount without ever knowing it.
Yes, that soft, melting gaze of yours has been continually turned on me for 10 delicious years.
I wonder if he is married. I am surprised Lady Blount allowed it. If I had been Lady Blount...
Lady Blount, my mother?
No, your wife.
Oh, I never had a wife.
I thought not.
Shall I tell you a secret? I never married because I had fallen desperately in love with you.
With me. Oh, nonsense.
I'm perfectly serious. I used to sit opposite you all day long, smoking and vowing to myself that I would never take a wife until I found your counterpart. Maud, I used to say. My own Maud. You were mine, you know, together with everything else in the castle. My own Maud, with all my heart and soul, I love you. I love you with the devotion of a lover who knows his happiness is on the eve of being crowned, and with the desperation of a lover who feels that there is not the remotest chance of anything of the kind.
Sir, you are too bold.
One may say what one likes to a picture, you know.
I gazed all day at those eyes, those cheeks, those lips, and dreamt them all night.
I was just remarking before you revived that my lips seem to have lost their colour. Indeed, I almost fancy I can see the canvas through them.
Yes, that's not Leonardo da Vinci's fault. That's mine. For 10 years, night and morning, I was in the habit of covering them with kisses.
Sir!
One may do what one likes to a picture, you know. But if I'd ever had the slightest idea that we'd ever meet under these peculiar circumstances, I need not say that I should never have ventured to take such a liberty.
I suppose I must pocket my indignation.
Besides, remember, after all, the offender was not I, but my prototype.
That's true. You can't be held responsible for everything he did. So say no more about it. Let's shake hands.
With pleasure.
No, the other.
Oh, beg pardon. So I'm quite forgiven?
Quite. A picture, after all, is not like its original.
Very often it is not.
One may say what one likes to a picture.
You allow that?
Yes.
In pity tell, O lady mine, the fate that waits me, my life is thine. 'Tis thine to spare, 'tis thine to kill, 'tis thine to fashion to thy fair will. 'Tis thine, 'tis thine, 'tis thine to fashion to thy fair will.
If this be so, what can I do? The word that kills thee would kill me too. My hand and heart to thee I give. The word that saves thee now bids me live, now bids me live.
In pity tell, O lady,
The word that kills,
say the word that saves
that word would kill me too. My hand and heart to thee I give. My hand and heart to thee I give. The word that saves thee now bids me
I didn't speak.
You said a him.
I said a him.
Oh, gracious, who are you?
I am Lord Carnaby Poppytop. How do you do?
Sir, what is the meaning of this outrage?
Outrage?
Yes, sir, I said outrage. You kissed this lady.
I did.
And by what right, sir, did you take such a liberty?
Liberty? Why, she is my great-great-great-great-great-grandmother.
Nonsense, sir. You're old enough to be her father.
Because I was painted at the age of 65. Lady Maud was painted at the age of 17. I was not born until 170 years after Lady Maud's death. And talking of liberties, may I ask by what right my Michelangelo puts his arm around the waist of my Leonardo da Vinci?
We are companion portraits, sir. Besides, doesn't it strike you that it is hardly dutiful on your part to interfere with the proceedings of your great-great-great-great-great-grandmother?
Well, she's my picture, sir, and I do with her what I like.
She's your great-grandmother, sir, and she claims the respect due to her extraordinary old age. Besides, who are you? I don't know you.
I'm Lord Carnaby Poppytop, painted by Sir Godfrey Canella in 1713, and exactly 44 years after coming into possession of this castle.
Sir Godfrey Canella. Nobody ever heard of the man.
No one would have ever heard of you if you hadn't been painted by an old master.
Oh, gentlemen, pray do not quarrel on my account. My dear, your grandmamma is quite old enough to take care of herself. I stand on my authority and wonder what you mean.
You're still in your minority, you're hardly 17.
Lord Carnaby, in verity, your rudeness pains me much.
Your Lady Maud's posterity, behave yourself as such.
My grandmamma in charity concludes you must be mad. So be that more in charity concludes obedient lad. I stand on my authority and wonder what you mean. I stand on my authority and wonder what you mean. So strange a meeting now was seen for sure as I'm alive. His grandmama is 17 and he is 65. Why, sure as I'm alive. Why, sure as I'm alive. His grandmama is 17 and he is 65.
For she is 17 and he is 65. Should I respectful homage pay?
Should he
Respectful homage pay? I respectful homage pay.
Should he make
I will obey as her proprietor.
Should he make me his will obey?
As her proprietor.
Should he make me his will obey? As my proprietor. Should he make me his will obey? Should he respectful homage pay? Respectful homage pay to me? To me?
No.
So strange a meeting never seen for sure as I'm alive. My grandmama is 17 and he is 65. So strange a meeting never seen. So strange a meeting never seen. For sure as grandmama is 17 and he is 65.
If there's any question as to whom you all belong, I think I can set it at rest, Lord Carnaby.
You know me then?
Perfectly. You are Lord Carnaby Poppytop, who quite unexpectedly came into possession of this castle on the 13th July, 1669. You died in 1716, and the castle remained uninhabited and unclaimed until I, Dame Cherry Maybud, quite as unexpectedly, came into possession of the castle and all that it contained. Now, to settle the question you were discussing when I interfered. You will abide by my decision.
With pleasure.
Very well, then. You, Lady Maud, are clearly the property of Sir Cecil Blunt, who succeeded to the castle after your death. Have you any objection to that?
None whatever. Cecil, I am yours.
By the same rule, you, Sir Cecil, and Lady Maud both belong to Lord Carnaby Poppletop, who after Sir Cecil's death succeeded to the property and all it contained.
But allow me to protest.
It is useless, sir. Clearly, both of you are my property, and a man may do what he likes with his own. Stupid. Lady Maud, come here. Sir Cecil, go there. Lady Maud, I think I shall marry you.
You, Lord Carnaby
I
Poppycock.
protest against anything of the kind. Dame Cherry Maybud, please be careful how you make your award.
My valued Leonardo da Vinci, expostulation is useless.
This marriage is out of the question, sir.
It's out of the question, sir.
It's impossible, sir.
Why? Why?
Because a man may not marry his grandmother.
I think it is unnecessary to discuss that at present. Let me go on. We have decided that Lady Maud belongs to Sir Cecil, that Lady Maud and Sir Cecil belong to Lord Carnaby Poppletop. It follows, therefore, that Lady Maud, Sir Cecil, and Lord Carnaby Poppletop all belong to me.
To you?
To me. You are all mine. And as Lord Carnaby Poppletop says, I can do what I like with my own. Now, I'm going to dispose of my property. Lord Carnaby, let the young people alone. Sir Cecil, take Lady Maud.
And if I refuse?
If you refuse, my lord, my course is clear. I will sell you to the nation. You'll be hung up in the National Gallery where nobody will go to look at you. You will spend an ignominious existence in the society of sham Rubenses, fictitious Raphaels, and other impostors of every degree.
But they won't buy me. I'm genuine.
Won't they? Don't be too sure of that. If you don't take care, I will have you so restored that there won't be a trace of the original work left. They'll snap you up directly.
You're settling all this very coolly and comfortably, but don't it occur to you that it's a matter in which I am entitled to be consulted?
You? And who in the world are you, sir?
I am no other than a portrait of the maternal grandfather of the present possessor of this castle, Mr. Alderman Tare.
Who painted you?
I don't know.
When were you painted?
I was finished yesterday and hung up yesterday afternoon.
You're a dreadful dog.
I'm afraid I am. But that's my misfortune, not my fault, you know. We don't paint ourselves.
Are you considered like?
Like who?
Like whom? Like Mr. Alderman Tare's maternal grandfather, of course.
What is the man laughing at?
How dare you laugh in my face, sir? Explain yourself, I insist upon it.
Oh, my dear fellow, don't excite yourself. But the question is really so absurd, you'll have to excuse my merriment. Like his maternal grandfather. Oh, my dear friend, old Tare never had a maternal grandfather.
Never had a maternal grandfather?
Never had a grandfather of any kind whatever. And what's more, he never will have.
If this is too absurd, then who are you?
I tell you, I'm a portrait of old Tare's maternal grandfather.
But you say he never had a maternal grandfather.
Never. I'm just a picture, but what does that have to do with it?
Then you're an imposter, sir.
Not at all. Or if I'm an imposter, we all are.
Explain yourself, sir.
With pleasure. Tare says I'm his maternal grandfather.
But you know you're not.
Of course.
Then you're lending yourself to an impostor. A picture with any sense of decency would have rubbed himself out rather than be party to such a fraud.
But Tare's assurances don't stop there. He says you're his great-great-grandmother, and you his great-great-great-great-grandfather.
He does, oh, it's monstrous.
What an infamous fabrication.
I've never had any family at all.
And I lied a spinster.
But Tear declares it's true.
But we know that it's impossible.
Then rub yourselves out without loss of time. A picture with any sense of decency would take steps rather than be a party to such a fraud.
Come out, sir! I'll teach you to bandy words with me. Come out!
I can't.
Why not?
I'm only a half length and I haven't any legs. Besides, I'm not dry. I might smudge.
Coward! But who could expect nobility of soul in such a misshapen frame?
Oh, my frame is very good indeed. Well made and solid, a good piece of work.
I'm alluding to your body, sir, not your setting.
There, Lord Carnaby. Leave the poor man alone. He's a dreadful dog, but he can't help that, you know. Besides, you mustn't quarrel in the presence of a lady.
Oh.
You won't, I know.
Oh, won't I?
No, you won't, I know, if I ask prettily. You won't. You won't, you won't, you won't, now will you?
Well, no, I won't. Miserable signboard, your life is spared. But I say, where have they gone?
Who?
Why, Lady Maud and Sir Cecil, of course. Oh, this won't do, you know.
Well, there they are in the next corridor.
Well, it's very, very disgusting. So young and yet so lost to all sense of propriety. I should go call them back.
No, stop. Reflect 1 moment. They are 200 or 300 years older than we are. Would it be delicate to interfere?
Well, it's a rather difficult point. Are we to judge their age by their years or their personal appearance?
My dear Lord Carnaby, if you judge a lady's age by her personal appearance, there'll be no end to the mistakes you'll make. Be content with the fact that they are our ancestors and let well alone.
I suppose there's no alternative. What? I say, he's kissing her.
But let him kiss her. Young people will be young people.
But you just said they were old.
Well, then, they are no fools like old fools. Be content with the fact that they are our ancestors and let well alone.
Well, you know, we have been young, but we haven't been young together. If we had...
If we had, I'm sure it would have been very, very ridiculous. No, sit down and leave them alone, do.
Do you think we would have been very ridiculous? Very, very ridiculous?
I don't know. I was very thoughtless and extremely pretty.
I was very thoughtless and remarkably handsome.
Oh, well, time works wonders.
Yeah.
Now, there is myself at age 18.
Exquisite. Oh, and there am I at age 23.
At 23, Lord Carnaby, though anything but plain, was quite a coxcomb, as you see, so empty-headed, vain. I rather think he used to drink no greater rake alive. So different to Carnaby at sober 65. Not a bit like to Carnaby at sober 65. Not a bit like to Carnaby at sober 65. Not a bit like to Carnaby at sober 65. Not a bit like to Carnaby at sober 65.
Deane Jericho at 18 was such a slut who killed. She flirted here, she flirted there, with every beau she met. She sent a dart into each heart and played such thoughtless tricks. But oh, how different is she at sober 56. Not a bit like in truth is she at sober 56. Not a bit like in truth is she. Deane Cherry at 56.
all parties if that portrait of Dame Cherry had come to life instead of this one.
Oh, you think so? Shall I go back to my frame and send her down instead?
Oh, do. Oh, I'm sure you won't be offended. It's still you know, only younger and prettier.
Oh, offended? Not a bit. Only...
Yes.
I was going to say that if that portrait of Dame Cherry at the age of 18 is to replace Dame Cherry at the age of 56, it is only fair that Lord Carnaby at the age of 23 replaced Lord Carnaby at the age of 65.
Do you insist upon that?
No, I insist upon that. Dame Cherry at 18 would have nothing to do with an old gentleman like you.
Don't you think she would?
I'm quite sure she wouldn't. She wouldn't hear it.
Am I to gather from that Dame Cherry at the age of...
56.
Impossible! Say 35. Now that Dame Cherry at age 35 would hear of it.
My dear Lord Carnaby, you're so
Ahem, I say, I don't want to interfere, but really, you know, before a third party, you shouldn't. You shouldn't indeed.
Be quiet, sir, and look the other way.
By all means. Will that do?
Capitally. Now stay like that until I tell you to turn around, or I'll rub you out. Well, I suppose there's only one thing to be done.
Why?
To ask the sanction of our respected ancestors to our union.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, I think they might be coming from the other corridor.
There is, however, one duty we owe to our honorable relations. We must obtain their consent to our marriage. Ah, they are here.
What's this?
Oh, we were about to ask your consent
To what?
to my marriage with Lady Moore,
But why ask our consent?
because you are our oldest relatives.
But we were going to ask your consent.
To what?
To my marriage with Dame Cherry.
But why?
Because you're our ancestors.
But we are your property.
Allow me to arrange this. Alderman Tare claims you as his property, and I am his representative. Allow me to act for him and bestow the necessary blessings. Well, then, I bless both unions.
That's comfortably settled. Oh, but bless me. The sun will rise in a few moments when we shall all have to return to our respective frames for 100 years. And I declare, we've been forgetting the very purpose for which we've been revived. The title deeds.
Ah, of course, they must be given to the next lineal descendant of the wicked Sir Roger Boone.
I declare that lineal descendant to be Mr. Columbus Hebblethwaite, who is stopping at this very house. And we shall leave the title deeds on this table, where he will find them when he descends to breakfast. There. The spell is broken, and may not be revived for 100 years.
Coming again.
century.
Once more we sleep a century. We must away, we must away. Days done, we must away.
£5 in the morning, and Mr. Hebblethwaite starts at 6. Be little of Miss Rosa he'll see this morning. What's this? Abstract of title of Columbus Hebblethwaite to Glen Cockaleaky Castle. What does this mean? And here the original deed, sure enough. Mr. Columbus Hebblethwaite, owner of Glen Cockaleaky Castle. Sir Ebenezer can't know of this, surely. He ordered me to have everything ready for Mr. Hebblethwaite's departure by the 6:30 train, as he wouldn't have him in the house 5 minutes longer than it was necessary. Here, Sir Ebenezer, Mistress McMotherly, Miss Rosa, Mr. Hebblethwaite, here's news for you.
Hey, you noisy loon! What are you making all that noise about? Is the house afire or have you found your senses? Which is it?
My senses, I found something more than my senses. Look here. Abstract of title of Columbus Hebblethwaite to Glen Cockaleaky Castle. I found it on the table just this minute.
Oh, the old legends come true. The house expires this very day, and the house passes into the hands of Mr. Hebblethwaite.
But I protest this. It's absurd. It's impossible. I'll dispute it, sir.
Stop a bit. Don't let's go into law about it. I'll make a bargain with you. If you consent to my marriage with Rosa, you shall stop here as long as you like. Come, what do you say? Shall we all live together?
Well, sir, mind I say if the title deeds turn out to be authentic, there is no doubt whatever to your title to this castle. Well, in that case, I've no objection to entertain your proposal. Rosa, on that condition, he is yours.
The subject dropped, no need to stop to make a long oration, to make all sure I will endure her elderly relation.
He goes not yet, so breakfast get. He needs no invitation. There'll be no need today, indeed, to hurry to the station.
The subject drop, no need to stop to make a long oration.
The
be no need today, indeed, to hurry to the station. There'll be no need.
There won't indeed.
There won't. The subject drop, no need to stop. To make a long oration he'll endure. To make all sure his elderly relation.
He goes not yet, so breakfast get, he needs no invitation.
There'll be no need today, indeed, to hurry to the station.
He goes not yet, so breakfast get. He needs no invitation. There's no need today, indeed, to hurry to the station.
This piece, which was written as a sort of companion piece to Sullivan's show called Haddon Hall, which came again after the Gibbon and Sullivan collaboration, he said that the audience didn't understand for the first 10 minutes that it was supposed to be funny. Now, if you don't know all about British conveyances of the 19th century, don't worry about it. There are a lot of references to things in London of the day that are not immaterial. They're just played over the top. Everything is over the top and meant to be silly. The first tenor aria, for instance, is all about being a bus driver. Okay, an omnibus is not and it's yellow omnibus is not like a school bus, but a horse-drawn conveyance. And there's this whole thing about the differences of class. As if, well, say for instance, you said it would be okay if your fiance was a yellow cab driver, but certainly not an Uber. Okay, that's the comparison that you need. There's also one beautiful line. We now do have a patter man as the central character, Mr. Jericho, and he has a wonderful line which I find terribly relevant, and we find that in all of these older pieces, that there's something about them that's human and very much contemporary. He has a line in which he says, "The man whose greatest pleasure in life is to hear the sound of his own name." Yeah, I need to say no more. "Will never die of hunger."
And so it has come to this, that Michael de Vere, the 18th Earl of Margate, must bend his aristocratic back and ply the implements of the common gardener. Little did I dream as I squandered the wealth of my ancestors amidst the grandeurs of Grosvenor Square, that the impertinent interference of the official receiver in bankruptcy should one day reduce me to a four-roomed cottage where I must rear my own roses in my old age. Why, Horace, back at this time of day, what does it mean?
It means, Father, that I've had an accident with the bus.
An accident? With the bus? Horace, you have forgotten my constant warnings. You have raced a pirate along Edgware Road.
Do not speak harshly to me, Father. It was at the Marble Arch. I was driving a pair of young and restive horses.
Forgive me, Horace, but I know the temper of young horses. They were not the best of friends at starting. They were irritated still more working together in harness. They fell out.
No, Father, the passengers did that.
Passengers?
Yes, the bus turned right over. The offside is completely stove in.
Think, it was only repainted the week before last.
My heart aches when I think of my beautiful bus, bounding along the Harrow Road, full inside and out. How could I guess that the Marble Arch would see it a quivering mass of wreckage, the outside fares scattered far and wide upon the wooden pavement, the inside ones fighting with each other inside the crushed interior, mad with terror.
Poor boy! And so, you have come back to spend the rest of the day with your dear old father.
There's nothing else for me to do. Come, Father, let me help you.
Well, I think I've made everything tidy. I was up betimes, and our estate is not a large one.
If only we had 300,000 acres to keep tidy instead of this small patch.
You yearn to be wealthy, Horace. Oh, my heart is heavy to think that my extravagance has brought you to this lowly position. You, who should bear the proud title of Viscount Ramsgate.
Hush, Father. Not a soul may suspect your identity. You have dragged the House of Lords into the bankruptcy court, but there are lower depths still. And when the eldest son of an earl is reduced to driving a Paddington Yellow, I think that even a socialist might shudder.
Horace, I sometimes like to whisper to myself occasionally that I am Michael, 18th Earl of Margate and Lord Warden of the Jetty.
Well, I have no objection to your doing that, but it is useless sighing over what is past. Let us talk of the present. What are my prospects?
Well, you have none, except that of being dismissed the company service for careless driving.
Then my case is hopeless, and yet how passionately I love her.
Ah, you're alluding to the beautiful daughter of Lady Bushy?
Alas, yes. Oh, my little sweetheart. I wonder if you ever pity the man who presides over the conveyance you patronize so frequently. When sunny summer ripens corn, and skylarks sing to gladden us, his lot is not without a thorn, who daily drives an omnibus. When hungry road cars hover near, in competition fierce and hot, what wonder that a scalding tear the driver's badge should sometimes blot? What wonder that a scalding tear the driver's badge should sometimes blot? The constant tinkle of the bell my nervous system knocks about. It brings a welcome or a knell as fares get in or fares get out. Pedestrians with weary feet may hail me for a penny ride, until there comes an accent sweet, the welcome shout of full inside, until there comes an accent sweet, the welcome shout of full inside.
Oh, it grieves me to see you so sad, Horace, and to think that I can do nothing to lighten your load of sorrow.
You might go indoors, Father, and prepare our midday meal. When I am sad, I'm very hungry.
Your appetite has been stimulated from the exertion of turning your bus over. I should go lay the table at once.
How does the world seem a little brighter all of a sudden? Why do the flowers smell more sweetly? Oh, joy of joys, impulse has not deceived me. She is coming this way. My beauty, my darling. The bus driver's only love.
May I ask you to tell me the time, sir? I find I have left my watch at home.
This is surely fate. Just 12 o'clock, miss.
12 o'clock. Then it is time to go back. Thank you very much.
Miss, don't go yet. If you can spare a moment to listen to a poor, heartbroken fellow.
I'm very sorry, but I have left my purse at home also.
I do not want your purse. Miss, forgive me for my presumption, but I've dared to love you passionately.
You have?
Indeed I have. Feel how my pulse is throbbing. Oh, if you spurn me, you will seal my doom. I cannot live without you, so I shall seek a welcome death beneath the wheels of some car of juggernaut, some massive morning omnibus, crowded with well-fed solicitors and 12 stone members of the stock exchange.
If this is not the earnestness of desperation, I am no judge of the human passions.
Oh, if you only knew the care I have taken of you.
The care you have taken of me? I don't understand. Stay, let me look you full in the face. Ah, now I know you. You are the gentleman who drives the 11 o'clock omnibus from Kensal Green to London Bridge.
Yes, miss.
It is strange I didn't recognize you at once. I always took an interest in you. You are very handsome.
Yes, miss. The girls on bank holiday generally squabble for the box seat.
Oh, I am not surprised at it. You are much better looking than many of the nobility.
She little knows the truth. Then you admire me?
Admire is but a poor word to express the exhilarating frenzy with which your magnificent features inspire me. What is your name?
Horace Alexander de Vere.
Oh, I do not think Mamma could possibly object to a son-in-law with a name like that. Winifred de Vere will sound charming.
Oh, how sweet. Your name is Winifred. And to think that all this weary time I'd only known the latter part of it, bushy. The rest was all black darkness. It might have been Martha, but it is Winifred, and I am very much relieved.
Oh, Horace, how romantic this is! To think that I should have won the love of the very man who has so often driven me safely into Oxford Street.
Then you noticed I was careful.
Oh, dear Mamma noticed that. She said you are a nice, steady young man, and you never race road cars or pirates. Oh, poor Mamma has a great horror of collisions, and when she sees a horse down, she screams continuously until it is up again.
Oh, sweetheart, how rejoiced I am to learn your mother's opinion of me.
Unfortunately, I have known Mamma's opinions to run through several editions in one day.
I understand. You imply that her admiration of me as a driver may not extend to me as a son-in-law.
Alas, I fear not. But, oh, my king, take heart. I have given you my love, and not even my mother, no, not even my trustees shall come between me and my Horace Alexander now. My heart goes pit-a-pat, oh, brave and gallant fellow, for I have often sat within your boss so yellow. I always liked you so, because the boss you well drove. When shopping I would go to Marshall and to Snell Grove. When shopping I would go to Marshall and to Snell Grove. And now you are my king, my captain, chief commander, your praise I'll ever sing. Oh, Horace Alexander, oh, Horace Alexander, how sweetly through the air, dispersing tales of slander, dispersing tales of slander, dispersing tales of slander, the sound, the praises fair of Horace Alexander. Although my hopes were nil, and love's young dream was blighted, I kept the horses still, while you and Ma alighted. I watched you pay the fare. My love I might not show you, nor from the box seat dare a single kiss to blow you, nor from the box seat dare a single kiss to blow you, a single kiss
to blow you. O Queen of womankind, in Britain, France, or Flanders, no heart more true you'll find than Horace Alexander's, than Horace Alexander's.
How little do
How
we
little
need
do we
a once and
need
glorious
the
love.
glorious
Holy man
love.
indeed
How
is Horace
little
Alexander.
the
Is
words in
Horace
glorious
Alexander.
A happy, happy man indeed is Horace Alexander.
Winifred, unhappy child!
Oh, Mamma!
Can I trust my eyes? Did I see my darling, my pet lamb, locked in the embrace of a total stranger?
Oh, Mother, a stranger he is perhaps, but what a perfect stranger.
Exactly so. He is a perfect stranger.
Madam, you evidently failed to recognize me, but I've often driven you safely into Oxford Street. I've set you down at Marshall and Snellgrove's. I've dropped you at Peter Robinson's, and yet you talk of me as a stranger.
Oh, why, Winifred, can this be the Apollo who drives the 11 o'clock omnibus from Kensal Green?
Oh, pity me, Mother, it is he.
Oh, surely you do not mean to tell me that you love this man.
Oh, love is scarcely the word. I worship him. To my adoring eyes, he seems a young sun god.
This is very soothing.
I cannot understand how my daughter should have stooped to love someone of such humble birth.
On the contrary, my elevated seat gave me the advantage. It was I who stooped to love your daughter.
You hear how clever he is, Mama? He is always saying witty things like that.
My poor child! But I must not temporize. I must act swiftly and rescue you from the consequences of your folly.
I trust you are not going to adopt extreme measures.
Ah, do not fear that I shall treat my daughter unkindly. I am going to take her home at once, and for 3 whole months confine her in the small back room on the top floor. It has been repapered quite recently, and I will allow her a liberal diet of cold mutton and rice.
Oh, Mama, how cruel you are!
I do not mean to be harsh, but it is impossible for the daughter of Lady Bushy to marry the driver of an omnibus, however handsome and accomplished he may be. My smelling salts get and my guilt vinaigrette, for I own that I need to revive her. For I find that a girl who is fit for an earl is beloved by an omnibus driver. To beauty and birth and the dust of the earth, such a person should grovel and wallow. To think he should dare to make love to her fair, oh, I wonder whatever will follow.
A poem of fate if my lady could stand, a carriage of state or a spot all in hand, a single crochet or a chandelier done, a single crochet or a chandelier done. But a bus is too bitter, too bitter, too bitter, a bus is too bitter to swallow. But a bus is too bitter, too bitter, too bitter, a bus is too bitter to swallow.
Proud lady who mocks should mount on a box and keep all her sneers in abeyance until she has tried the practical side of driving a public conveyance.
A pity the girl who is meant for an earl, for society's fickle and hollow. She's sick of its charms, so she flies to the arms of this omnibus driving Apollo.
A poem of fate if my lady could stand, a carriage of state or a spot all in hand, a single crochet or a chandelier done, a single crochet or a chandelier done. But a bus is too bitter, too bitter, too bitter, a bus is too bitter to swallow. But a bus is too bitter, too bitter, too bitter, a bus is too bitter to swallow.
No, thank you. No, Winifred,
This is the spot, without a doubt. 300 yards in a direct line to the north of the cab stand. And the time? 10 minutes past 12. In 5 minutes more, I shall meet my old sweetheart, Dulcibella. But shall I waste those 5 precious minutes in delicious idling, in lazy dreams of lovers' rapture? Certainly not. How can I employ them better than by spreading broadcast upon the face of the earth these advertisements of the commodity that has made me famous? Can you oblige me with a word or two?
Certainly.
I don't suppose you have any idea who I am.
No, I haven't.
I thought as much. Allow me to give you my card.
Mr. Jericho?
That's it. I'm Jericho.
You mean the celebrated Jericho? The manufacturer of Jericho's world-renowned jams?
That's it. Jericho's Jams.
I can scarcely express my feelings at meeting you. Oh, sir, you are indeed a public benefactor. I have an aged father, of whose declining years your jams are the solace. And if you could sit day after day, as I have sat, watching him spread your preserves upon his bread and butter with a happy smile, you would understand the gratitude that fills my heart.
It is always pleasing to a jam manufacturer to know that his jams are preferred to anyone else's.
My occupation calls me away from home during the daytime, and it is a great boon to be able to leave my poor father with something pure and unadulterated.
It must be.
I can leave him with a light heart, alone with Jericho's jams, for I know that they are made from fresh fruit, with refined sugar only.
Of course you do. It is distinctly stated so on the label. Yes, my friend, thanks to my jams, I'm a rich person now. Time was when Jericho's jams were unknown, when their superior quality and their absolute purity were undreamt of by a public surfeited with gross adulterations. But I pushed them with a steady persistence. I spent thousands in advertising them. I kept the name of Jericho continuously before the public, and now it is a household word. Advertisement is the secret to success in life. The man whose chief pleasure lies in the sound of his own name will never die a pauper. When as a youngster to school he was sent, Jericho's talents found singular vent. Nothing whatever delighted him more than the display of the name that he bore, scribbled in copybooks, scratched on his slate, blazoned in carvings of yesterday's date, cut on the cupboards and chalked on the wall. Greeting the eye was the terrible scrawl. Jericho, Jericho, Jericho here. Jericho, Jericho, Jericho there. Oh, you got sick of it, right in the thick of it. Jericho, Jericho everywhere. People found out when to manhood he came, Jericho's habits continued the same. Everyone saw when he started in trade, Jericho's jams on the hoardings displayed. When at the station awaiting a train, Jericho's jams would salute you again. If you took refuge in buses or trams, still you were greeted by Jericho's jams. Jericho's, Jericho's, Jericho's jams. See that you get 'em, all others are shams. Highly superior for the interior, Jericho's, Jericho's genuine jams. So paradoxical though it may be, I have made jams and the jams have made me. This is the motto by which I will swear. Advertise, advertise everywhere. Stick it to left of you, stick it to right. Shout it and scream it from morning till night. Crowd upon crowd your emporium crams, fighting for life and for Jericho's jams. Jericho's, Jericho's, Jericho's jams. See that you get 'em, all others are shams. Ask for no other, my sister and brother, but live upon Jericho's genuine jams. oblige me with your father's age?
He was 60 last May.
Oh, dear me. And you say he consumes my jams regularly and appears to enjoy it?
Oh, yes, he appears to.
No ill effects from the use of it?
Well, of course, his teeth yielded to its influence. But now that I've provided him with a new set, top and bottom, out of my hard-earned wages, he is practically jam-proof.
If I could persuade him to give a testimonial, it may be of some value as an advertisement.
My father is such a simple and retiring old man that it would require a very substantial consideration to induce him to give publicity to his weakness for your preserves.
Your parent will find that Jericho is not a man to spare his £5 notes.
Let me talk it over with him for a few minutes.
And now, for Dulcibella. 20 minutes past 12. Dulcibella is late.
I'm only 5 minutes behind time, Thomas.
Sweetheart, is it you? Do we really meet again after all these years?
Oh, it feels very much like it. But, oh, Thomas, am I wise in permitting these familiarities? I've been a widow for 3 years.
Do not remind me you are a widow, Dulcibella. It is a bitter, bitter thought.
And yet you're not free from blame in the matter. Several years ago, when 2 suitors came to woo me in my little Lincolnshire home, you knew that you were the favoured one, that I only tolerated the late Sir Burton Bushy because my father begged me.
Then why did you marry him?
But what more could I do? I couldn't get you to elope with me.
Oh, Dulcie, I'd been so well brought up.
You certainly had. That was the unfortunate part of it.
3 years ago, I read of Sir Burton Bushy's death in the Times, and after a decent period had elapsed, I wrote to you.
You did? 2 days ago.
I had to reply last night with an appointment to meet you here this morning. Oh, Dulcie, this is like old times. Do you find me much altered?
Oh, you are sadly changed, Thomas. I used to call you my golden-haired Viking.
I know you did. I remember thinking it an admirable description.
To my impassioned eyes, your head had the appearance of a yellow cornfield waving in the summer sunlight. Where's that yellow cornfield now?
Well, you know it has been a bad year for the harvest.
Time has not dealt gently with you. I hope he has been kinder to me.
I wish I could say that he has, Dulcie. But I cannot. You like me to be perfectly frank with you, don't you, dear one?
Indeed I do, Thomas.
Besides, you've been excessively plain-spoken with me.
I have. I thought you would prefer it.
I do. It is gall and wormwood, but I distinctly prefer it.
And I scarcely what you expected.
Scarcely. I know you like me to be candid.
Certainly. It is like tasting bitter aloes, but I like it.
Cannot we come to some sort of agreement? You are terribly disappointed with me. I am equally disappointed with you. Let us strike a balance and write off our mutual disappointment. The romantic girl and the fascinating youth disappear from the account, and we carry forward a buxom widow and a well-preserved bachelor.
I see your idea.
Then remember, I am ready to open negotiations with you for the renewal of our early attachment whenever you find it convenient.
Oh, Thomas, these are the wild and impassioned things you used to say to me 25 years ago. There came to me an innocence at Barton on the Humber, 2 suitors who for reference are 1 and 2 I'll number, and number 1 would softly woo till my life seemed milk and honey, but dear Papa would number 2 a large amount of money, and so I married number 2.
At first I thought of suicide. Then a change of air at Brighton. But all the hopes of yesterday return with false provoking. Now number 2 is tucked away at Kensal Green or Woking. So come and marry number 1, whose honest heart your shrine is. There seldom lives through rain or sun a love as true as mine is. How strange when parted lovers meet in such a case as this is. And oh, how weird and wildly sweet, but oh, how weird and wildly sweet a middle-aged kiss is. A middle-aged kiss is.
Unhappy parent!
I thought I had locked you safely in your room.
Oh, I dare say you did, Mamma, but I had my dumbbells, and I was able to hurl them with irresistible force against a cheap lock.
My Dulcibella, what does this mean? She calls you Mamma. You never told me you had a daughter.
I announced it to the world through the medium of the Times. I went to the expense of 3 insertions. What more could I do?
Oh, Mother, you reproached me for embracing the man I loved, but apparently it is only a hereditary tendency.
Then you have a weakness that way, my child?
Oh, yes, sir, I have a weakness, and here he is.
My darling,
Why, Dulcibella, can it be that you object to this fine, stalwart young man?
I admit that his appearance leaves nothing to be desired, but, oh, Thomas, his occupation.
What is your occupation, my fine fellow?
I am earning an honest living in the employ of the London General Omnibus Company Limited.
Ah, your profession is a healthy and interesting one. And are you ready to leave a comfortable home for his sake?
Oh, yes, sir. My heart feels called to this worthy gentleman who has asked me to share the box seat permanently with him.
What am I to do, Thomas? Think of the scandal there will be when it becomes known that the only daughter of the late General, Sir Burton Bushy, is married to an omnibus driver. I can see the paragraphs.
Of course he will abandon his present occupation. I will make it my business to see that he is suitably provided for. He's handsome enough to be a member of Parliament.
Yes. I wish you would get him some nice light employment like that. But, oh, Thomas, Sir Burton intended Winifred to marry a peer of the realm.
Ah, that's awkward.
You are immeasurably wealthy. Buy this young man a peerage.
Oh, it is a large order, Dulcibella.
Ah, but you are used to large orders in a business with a turnover like yours. I suppose the jams are doing as well as ever.
Oh, the sales are increasing weekly, darling. But oh, that reminds me. Our young omnibus driver has a father who is devoted to my jams. I'm arranging to get a testimonial from him. And if I'm not mistaken, here comes the old gentleman.
Let me introduce you to Mr. Jericho, Father.
Why, surely this is... Indeed, I cannot be mistaken. This is no other than the Earl of Margate.
The Earl of Margate?
Horace, our secret has been discovered. This will shake the House of Lords to its very foundations.
I remember you perfectly. I used to see you in the park regularly every Sunday.
Your face is noble, but it bears traces of considerable financial troubles.
No doubt it does. Fortune has dealt hardly with me. The official receiver has opened his arms wide and taken me into his bosom.
Oh, Horace, are you really the son of an earl?
I regret to say that I am. I have the misfortune to bear the title of Viscount Ramsgate.
Oh, then I think I love you more than ever. There is something singularly attractive about a nobleman.
Alas, my darling, we are daily sinking in the market of public estimation. like sails, dancing full on hill and dale. Let us weep with all humility for our proud down nobility. Rouse ye then, O house of Lords, sleep no more on dirty pillows, heart weeping and senseless souls. Oh, defend your peccadillos. Rouse ye then, O house of Lords.
If the Earl of Margate will favour me with a testimonial to the effect that he allows only Jericho's jams to be placed on his breakfast table, I will guarantee an annuity suitable to live comfortably in Bayswater and keep a cook and housemaid.
Then I gladly accept your offer, sir, dear friend. Even an earl may tire of blacking his own boots.
If you have any idea of marrying my mother, sir, would it not be well to get me out of the way?
What do you think, Dulcibella?
I think it would be a judicious step, dear.
And if Viscount Ramsgate will accept a share in the jam business, I will instruct my solicitor to draw up a deed of partnership. Your income will be at least 2,000 a year under such an arrangement.
What do you say, Winifred? I will be sacrificing a great deal. The horse is a noble animal.
Oh, yes, Horace, I quite see that.
There would be no more exhilarating rides for you to Marshall and Snellgroves with your Horace at the ribbons.
These are vain regrets, my boy. Remember, your bus is totally disabled. Tonight's post will bring your dismissal of the company's service for furious driving.
True, Father.
So you will accept the offer of partnership then, Horace?
I think so, darling.
Oh, Horace, a little while ago the cup held to our lips was full of bitterness, and now it is so overflowing with sweetness that it almost takes my breath away.
Do not fear that it will cloy, my darling. You and I will never, never weary of sweet things.
Of course you won't. Not while you're a partner in Jericho's jams. And I hope the public won't either. I trust they will continue to ask for no other. See that they get 'em. Notice the trademark on the label and the signature Jericho, without which none are genuine.
Soon there shall ring for a newlywed pair bells of St. George's and Hanover Square.
Promise me, love, as you fondle me thus, never to sigh for your beautiful boss.
We do grieve husband the second in sight, parts with her daughter with heart that is light.
Jericho hopes you'll continue to cram carbon and shelf with his genuine jam. Jericho's, Jericho's, Jericho's jams. See that you get 'em, all others are shams. Ask for no other, my sister and brother, but live upon Jericho's genuine jams. Genuine jams, genuine jams. Ask for no other, my sister and brother, but live upon Jericho's genuine jams. Genuine jams, but live upon Jericho's genuine jams. Ask for no other, my sister and brother, but live upon Jericho's genuine jams.